Hello friends, and welcome to FTW Philly presented by Temple University. I'm your host, Marissa Magnotta, joined as always by our esports guru, Rosemary Nekra Kelly. Nekra, how are you this week?
Marissa, I'm doing well. How are you this week?
Oh, I am great and really excited about today's episode. There's an ongoing theme of family and how important it is to people in their careers that I'm really excited to share. Plus, we have our esports news and our gaming news. Let's just get started. What do you say?
That sounds like a great idea. Let's jump right into it. Last week in esports news, we talked about the League of Legends World Championships, particularly the challenges that esports teams and players are facing throughout the COVID pandemic. But in NASCAR, we've seen a positive trend in viewership based on NASCAR's eNASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational Series. Chase Briscoe was one of the drivers that ended up participating in this iRacing Pro Invitational Series and has been an iRacer since the age of 6. With over 400 wins and using the simulator to prepare for real-life races, this has been a great way to reinvest into NASCAR and bring some more eyes into the scene. With 70,000 new iRacing users, this is the perfect time for Team QUADRANT to enter the scene. Introducing Team QUADRANT, British Formula 1 driver Lando Norris's new esports team, which launched on November 6th. Team QUADRANT has an emphasis on gaming and racing, with content creation as its main driving factor. Norris, in their free time while the Formula 1 circuit has been on delay, has amassed over 600,000 Twitch followers from sim racing, has brought on other content creators such as Super GT to be able to help bring more racing content into Team QUADRANT. While Team QUADRANT is focused on content creation right now, they are hoping to expand into other games as well as other esports. A few weeks ago, we mentioned the uncertainty of the StarCraft 2 esports scene, especially because Blizzard stopped development of in-game purchases like the war chests, which historically have helped fund the prize pools for StarCraft 2 tournaments. Well, I'm happy to report that StarCraft 2 esports is still going strong. This past weekend, we saw the conclusion and the crowning of 2 new champions for Europe and North America for DREAMHACK SC2 Masters Winter. In Europe, it was Clem taking home the crown, beating out 2018 World Champion Cyril and 2019 World Champion runner-up Raynor to take that spot. In North America, it was Estrella that took home the championship, beating out Neeb not once, but twice to take home that prize. Both Clem and Estrella have been rising stars in the StarCraft 2 esports scene, and it's really great to see all their hard work pay off. On November 8th, we crowned another champion, this time in Rainbow Six Siege. At the 6th November 2020 Major Grand Finals, we featured Team Empire versus BDS, where the French squad of BDS was a favorite to win the whole thing. But Team Empire, they were on a redemption arc. After not being able to make it out of groups at the 6th Invitational in 2020, after a stellar performance in 2019, they were finally able to take their revenge in a 3-0 over BDS, taking home first and $62,500. We all know the impact that COVID has had on the esports scene, especially when it comes to the relevancy of the esports that are played on the PC. So where do these games fall? The Esports Observer put together a PC Games Impact Index based on a variety of different factors, including but not limited to distributed winnings, the number of active players, plus the hours watched casually and competitively for the esport. In tier number 3, to kick things off, we've got Rainbow Six Siege, Rocket League, and StarCraft 2. Moving up the ladder in tier 2, we have games such as Fortnite, Valorant, and Overwatch. And in tier 1, topping them all, is Call of Duty Modern Warfare and League of Legends. League of Legends is the most viewed game on Twitch. Plus, with its recent success from the World Championships, there's no surprise that League of Legends remains at the top of this tier list. That's it for this week's esports headlines. Still to come, we've got all your gaming news with Dark Mike and Field of View, plus an interview with Emuhleet, a professional esports competitor that's paving the way for women everywhere.
Welcome to Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. I'm Darth Mike, coming to you from the plains of an alien world, and we've got 1,000,001 releases this week, so let's hop into it. The time is nigh. The season is upon us, folks, for next-gen consoles, and both are dropping this week, starting with the Xbox Series X on November 10th and the PlayStation 5 following soon afterwards on the 12th of November. Now, whichever way you fall in this debate, it's time to see what happens when the rubber hits the road, when these consoles actually hit shelves. Who's going to come out on top? Who's going to be king of the castle? Who's going to dominate sales figures? And who's going to come home with a crippling day one glitch to absolutely sink their chances? Whether you do go with Sony's giant skyscraper of a creation, the PlayStation 5, or Microsoft's black fridge behemoth in the Xbox Series X, one thing is for sure, no matter which heavy console you pick up, one thing will be lighter this holiday season: your wallet. Now, new consoles aren't the only things that dropped this week. We've also got new games coming out, starting with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which dropped on the 10th, just in time for the next generation of consoles. This is the next entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise from Ubisoft, and it puts you in the role of Ivor, a Viking raider, either male or female, depending on what you choose, looting and pillaging your way up and down the coast, yet somehow still being the good guy in all of this. Not sure how they're gonna work that one out. It's a world steeped in fantasy and mythology with mystic elements creeping through all the time, and having now worked their way through ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and now the ancient Norse, it's becoming readily apparent that someone at Ubisoft wants to make absolutely sure they get everything they can out of that one mythology class they took back in college. The next hotly anticipated game comes courtesy of the Call of Duty franchise. Dropping on November 13th, it's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And this is clearly Activision's attempt to see how many words they can shove into a game title and still fit it on the game box. Whatever it is, this sets us in an alternate reality Cold War scenario where nothing is real and the truth is what you choose to believe, and you interact with Ronald Reagan of all people. And these are some mature, complicated themes to have, especially this year. But don't worry, folks, if there's one franchise we can trust to handle these themes delicately and with care, it's Call of Duty. For your weekly nostalgia hit, BioWare have announced the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, a remastering of the original trilogy of games. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, all remade in one for the next generation of consoles, with compatibility with this current as well. It's coming in spring 2021, and whether you never got a chance to enjoy the original Space Odyssey, or whether you just miss rambling around with Shepard and the crew, want to relive your glory days, here's your chance. Whatever engine they are using to port the games over, the only thing we can ask for is please don't bring Andromeda's facial animations with you. There's also a new game that's been announced, this one with no time frame on it, but BioWare have teased that they're bringing another entry into the Mass Effect universe with a wholly original storyline. We don't know when that's going to happen though, folks, so keep your eyes out for more news. Square Enix are reporting a nearly $48 million loss in the second quarter of 2020, largely driven by the complete failure of their Marvel's Avengers game. Now just think about that for a second, folks. The Avengers are possibly the most successful franchise property in the history of mankind ever. And they've had this catastrophic failure of a situation where they had the exclusive rights to make a game for it. And it just goes to show, folks, that even if you have Iron Man and Captain America and literal rock star characters to propel your game forward, if you make a cheap cash grab game as a service buy-in, no one's going to want to play it. There are too many games out there right now to try and lure gamers in with a steaming pile of junk like this. Well, that's it for us this week on Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. Now, we've got some inclement weather coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and clear out of here and... Oh, no!
Thank you so much, Darf. Nekra, there are so many great games out right now. Which ones are you most excited about?
Honestly, Marissa, it's so hard to choose. There's Black Ops Cold War, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, plus the new consoles, but I'm most excited about Assassin's Creed. It's a series I grew up playing, a huge part of my childhood, and I can't wait to play.
Oh, I love getting a peek into which games made you who you are today. In fact, right after this, we're going to meet another female gamer who's going to walk us through her history, how she's become a champion, plus how she balances her professional career as a gamer with her other career as a nurse to help people every day.
My name is Emily Garrido. My in-game name is Emuhleet, and I'm a part-time nurse and a full-time gamer for Dignitas, who is also owned by the 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. I have an older brother, so he kind of helped show me what the video game world was about. And, you know, when I was younger, it wasn't really a thing for girls to do. So it was cool that I had an older brother and I could play with his friends. And our very first game that I remember was GoldenEye on Nintendo 64. And that's kind of what paved the way for my competitiveness. Games are supposed to be fun, but no. This was a very competitive time for me and my brother playing on Nintendo 64. I used to be what I would call a closet gamer. I didn't tell anyone that I played video games for a long time. My best friend didn't know till I was 23 because I had to go to France. And I was telling her why I had to go to France was for my very first international tournament, the Electronic Sports World Cup. We were the only team there that didn't have any financial support, no sponsors. So some of my teammates used their college funds, and we fundraised money through Twitch to get there. So as a new team, everybody thought we would get dead last. We had all of the support that we needed from everybody, and we shocked everyone by getting second at our very first event. And you had to make it to the finals to play on stage, and this is something I'll remember forever, is getting on that stage in the final game. And it was like a euphoric frozen moment of time like you see in the movies. I was looking to my left slowly and to my right at my teammates and our coach XP3 and onto the crowd and the lights. This actually was the event where I knew that I wanted to turn gaming into a career and become a professional esports athlete. Fun fact, the coach that came to help us in France, XP3, later became my husband, and we got married on a map in Counter-Strike, Inferno, which is a mission here in California, San Juan Capistrano. So it was a cool way to combine our love for Counter-Strike with our wedding, which is how we met. Going into esports was something that was natural for me, but I was also a nurse. I loved science, I loved health. So that's kind of what I was doing before I became a professional esports player with Dignitas. I wanted to become a nurse because I just generally really do love helping people, and I know that I have what it takes to handle critical situations. For me specifically, going into the mental health field and addiction field is something I knew I wanted to do because growing up I had friends who did struggle with addiction, and unfortunately I wasn't able to help them back then. So this is kind of my way of giving back in honor of them. And I have a really funny story actually. When I was working one time at my rehab center, one of my patients who was really struggling with addiction and anxiety and depression, I noticed that he had an Overwatch backpack. So I was like, oh, this is it. This is my chance to try to make him happy and relate to him. So I talked to him about his Overwatch backpack and about gaming, and I'm not kidding, he had the biggest smile on his face, and I haven't seen him smile in like a month. So this is a really fun way for me to apply my gaming skills with my nursing skills. I work with RAD a little bit, which is a nonprofit organization, Rise Above the Disorder, who provide therapists for gamers who can't afford them. So this is a fun outlet for me too. Gaming really helped me be comfortable around people. I used to struggle with anxiety, and I mean, I'm talking on stages now, on panels, I'm playing on stages in a stadium, and this is something I never would have been able to do without gaming. I think it's very healthy to be a gamer because I've talked to people who also have never been out of their house before, and now they're going to events or conventions to meet new friends that they share the same passion with. I think it's very healthy to be a gamer in this terms. When I first started gaming, my parents weren't super supportive of me playing video games all the time. So I'm sure there's a lot of kids that are also kind of going through the same process that I was when I was younger. But back then there wasn't really an outlet for me to be able to turn gaming into a career. Now there's so many opportunities for kids nowadays to involve their parents in high school and college. There's programs for you to enter into turning esports into a career. So this is something I recommend to kids is to just get their parents involved and let them know this is something you're passionate about and you're serious about. I would say to anyone who's looking to be a professional esports player like myself is to look at all of the outlets and resources that you have around you that I wish I had when I was growing up. There's a lot of different resources out there to help pave the way to whatever it is that you want to be in esports. So just kind of set goals for yourself and remind yourself of those goals every day.
Emuhleet's story is so inspiring, especially as another female gamer. Knowing what she had to traverse through in order to become a multi-title champion is just incredible. She paved the way for so many other women to follow in her footsteps, and it means so much.
I couldn't agree more. Women supporting women, that's just the way things should go, all the time. Now we're gonna move behind the scenes of video games and meet DJ Cutman. He has made a career out of producing music for games, one of the most important elements, but also one of the most overlooked.
Music in particular, I think, goes a really long way in conveying the emotion, the feeling of being really involved in a battle, of the intensity. Or punctuating story beats. You know, just sort of bringing this world that can exist in our head, not just on the screen.
You are my Magi now. Protect.
It's so important to the experience. Like, just try to watch your favorite show or try to play your favorite game on mute. It doesn't feel the same way. Video game sound and audio, I think, is really important because it's really half of our experience. I'm Chris Davidson, better known as DJ Cutman. I run the video game music record label GameChops. The project started back over 10 years ago. I was working, my first job out of college was in a recording studio. I was mixing and producing rap music. And I kind of had been like taking my personal collection of video game music and I was mixing it with the hip hop beats that clients were bringing in for their sessions and kind of creating this weird hybrid of rap beats and video game music. I used to go out on the street. I would sit down with my laptop on top of my cat carrier, like homemade PA, and I'd play these video game songs with rap beats. And what I noticed is that people who looked to me like they were not gamers would walk by me playing on the street and they like come up in front of my little zone and they dance for like a minute or two. And that's when it clicked in my head, like, video game music is good music. For me, as a young DJ Cutman, my mission was to get that music out into other contexts. Bring these amazing compositions onto the street. Bring them into the club. Bring them to conventions and events by remixing them into contexts where it fits. And that just became my mission, and I kind of just stuck to it for years and years and years.
So I would take these two things and a laptop I could play a whole set with, and it fit into a backpack.
I was a behind the scenes guy. I was not the star, I was not in the spotlight. So when I started DJing, I didn't want to get on stage. I didn't want a spotlight on me, but I realized like some gigs are gonna be at stages. So I started doing the costume as just a way to sort of create an alter ego and create this exterior where I feel comfortable out to do my thing.
I actually feel ready to rock in this thing. It's funny, it's like my brain is just conditioned.
I've been tremendously fortunate to be supported by a bunch of really incredible artists and also my dear mom who was doing our graphic cover designs. So if you go scroll through GameChops designs on Spotify, iTunes, many of those cover art designs were designed by my mom. And she did the Zelda and Chill cover. You know, the neon sign on the Zelda and Chill cover, that was my mom.
Zelda and Chill. I thought it was a brilliant title, brilliant tracks, and I thought like, wow, this is a great moment to bridge the gap between the video game music community and the hip hop community. My name's Raheem Jarbo, also known as Mega Ran. Music is so essential to the video games experience, you know, whether it's the sound effects or a soundtrack. It's like very much like putting together a puzzle, but you just don't know what the finished product is going to look like. Being able to sit with him and have a person who gets it from a lot of different angles. We can both help each other as well as, I think, helping the video game music culture and scene be taken seriously. And that's really my main mission.
The Sonic movie placement was a total dream come true. Paramount came to me in a short little email saying, hey, we want to license Friends by Hyper Potions to be used in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And I swear I read that email like 20 times before I like called Kevin and I was like, have you heard about this? Kevin was like, somebody said they were sending it over. To hear a master that came out of this room, these speakers, in the big movie theater thing, it was a surreal experience. When she first started helping, it was like to give her something to do. It was like, yeah, Mom, come in here and help out. My sister was helping with my Twitter. My mom was gonna help with the design. My mom lost her life to cancer. We knew it was coming. I had the opportunity to spend some time with her, and even, if you can believe it, in the last few weeks, we were still working on covers together, tightening up things visually. She's with me. You know, everything she taught me, all these lessons, both about design, but also just about being decent, you know, treating people well, and being amicable. And I swear now when I'm working on designs, which I just was yesterday, I like have her advice like in the back of my head. So she's still with me in a way, even though I'm the one doing the Photoshop now. I did not expect to be where I am today. I set out because I wanted to work with artists and I wanted to share the music that I loved. And at the end of the day, those two things, as long as I'm doing one of those things every day, I'm happy.
Just want to say a huge thank you to DJ Cutman and to DJ Cutman's mom for being such a huge part of the video game industry. Music plays such a profound role when you're playing through a story or a video game, and it means so much to hear that DJ Cutman had all the support from his mom. That's so special.
It's really wonderful to have a great support system around you, whether it's family or friends or just people in the community that help you out. There's also some other advice I really took to heart DJ Cutman shared there. He said, be kind. That's what makes the world go round. That's what keeps people happy.
Absolutely.
Well, for Necra and the whole team behind FTW Philly, presented by Temple University, I'm your host, Marissa Magnata. We'll see you next week.